The Phoenix sports landscape is changing. It's time for the Arizona Cardinals to take the lead. Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Alex Clancy here. Follow me on Twitter, Clancy's Corner. Follow the podcast at Locked On AC Cards. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen. Free wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Please go to the YouTube channel. Search Locked On Arizona Cardinals. Hit that subscribe button. Turn notifications on. You know the drill. 15 years in sports media. This is my 9th season hosting this show. And I can confidently say for the first time that the city of Phoenix is up for grabs pertaining to who the most popular professional sports team should be. Why? I'll discuss, and I have somebody who's equally as smart as me on. Tyler Drake, Arizona Sports, everything dude over there, covers the Cardinals, does a little bit of everything else. So Tyler, dude, I don't know if you've been under a rock or not, but the Coyotes aren't here anymore. Nope. The Suns are a mess, and the Diamondbacks are their own different type of mess. Now, while the Arizona Cardinals haven't been perfect by any stretch, they are in this new 1,000-day plan after Steve Keim, and things are really starting to move in the right direction, at least on paper. Am I crazy to say, and do you agree or disagree, that not only is Phoenix up for the taking regarding the most popular sports team, but do the Arizona Cardinals have the inside track to becoming the next one?
Yeah, I think where we're at right now, in the middle of what we're seeing this Diamondbacks team doing especially, and after what we just saw what the Suns did, I really do think that they do have the inside track. Maybe they're not there right now this second, but I think I like how you said that, inside track for sure. And it only seems like a matter of time. Like, if I'm going to be completely honest, I think when we're looking at all the sports teams, the pro sports teams, I know that you threw that little qualifier in there, but I would put Cardinals and ASU football as the top two right now. Like, I really would, just because of the Kenny, activate the Valley, what he's doing over there. And you have a similar thing with JG and the Cardinals. And that's just, you can tell everybody is gravitating around the type of just aura that these guys have. So I really do see it as, and maybe if you don't want to agree and say they're there now, they at least have the inside track. And I think they're battling with the guys down the road more than anybody else in Tempe.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. And that's what I put it out on Twitter a couple of days ago. And that's the majority of the comments I got was ASU football. And that's great. And I'm going to go with history on it until I see it again. Like what we saw last year with Cam Scatterbo was great. What we saw with the receiver out and them almost beating Texas was great. All of it was great. Now do it again. And I know that is kind of counterintuitive to my thought process that the Cardinals are the team because we haven't seen it done once yet. But professional football and college football in this state, if the Cardinals are great and ASU is great, the Cardinals will encompass the entire state and not just one city. And listen, what Kenny's doing there is great. Like, that is magic, okay, what they're doing. And with that, the NFL will always win, unless you're in Alabama. So, yes. And the process behind this is, and I guess you can kind of correlate this to college sports. I mean, not as much anymore, but the organic nature in which this roster was built for the majority of it with the Cardinals. And you look at the Suns. It was piecemeal together with a dude who played at Michigan State basketball with Tom Izzo, and now is a hedge fund dude. And now, he's like, oh, no, let's just grab and go. This isn't salad and go, bro. You can't just be like, ooh, 3 good players. Mush. Like what the Cardinals have done and the balance that they've, infused into this roster that was top-heavy for 15 years. Yeah. Sustainability of that, irrespective on if it's Kyler Murray or not, the rest of the roster is ready for sustained success, and that's what you get when you have 3 solid drafts in a row. So that's my main thing when it comes to this.
Absolutely, leaps and bounds, much more top to bottom filled out than we've seen, in previous years. I think we've seen the reclamation project. Rebuild they didn't want to use. I'm going to go with reclamation project because when it got taken over in 2023, there was a lot of stuff that had to get changed, and it wasn't going to change overnight. You're now seeing kind of that spot now where you're no longer having to churn the mud to get all the bad stuff out. Now you can finally start laying down a even more paved road and go to town and do it on a consistent basis. So, I think really what they're doing has been excellent and even a little bit maybe overdoing it in the defensive line room, just how many bodies they have in there. There's going to be some big question marks in there, but like they say, they got to build out of the trenches and build from there. So I'm never going to be mad when they add big beef on either side of the football. But looking at it as a whole, it's one of the more balanced out rosters that I've seen since I've covered the team.
Yeah, I mean, and another comparison before you pivot from Locked On ASU to just the Cardinals is like, it was kind of, you could kind of mirror parallel Steve Keim's last year going into Monty's first with the probation that Coach Dillingham had to deal with his first year. I mean, I think there's parallels there, especially because all these teams lose a lot more than they win. Okay, so now it's like, well, why can't the opposite be true if the entire guts of the organization has been changed? And that's what, that's where they both are. And, we'll talk about, I'll ask you, in the next segment, this is the most balanced roster we've seen in 20 years. I think it's pretty straightforward. There are some weaknesses, which we'll talk about in the third segment, but like, we've been doing this a long time. Okay. And the aura around what's happening over the last 18 months specifically, it seems effortless. It doesn't seem forced. It seems like everybody's doing their job in their cubicle. And now the cohesion is just inherently there because of the family atmosphere that Jonathan Gannon has brought with him. I mean, it seems pretty straightforward, even if they only win 10 games next year. It's like Monty Oswald and Jonathan Gannon have done all they could do to get to this point. Now it's on and the players to get to the next level.
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%, man. It really is. And I think especially when you look at how they attack the offensive side of the ball, not so much this free agency. I think that even puts more onus on that unit right there.
So let's talk about that. We got a couple of minutes here before we pivot, to the full 1 to 22 starters on game day. Like, I think that this is something that we're already seeing who the scapegoat's going to be. It's going to be Drew Petzing if things don't work out. I don't think that's necessarily fair. I think the cohesion between Marv and Kyler is paramount. I think the dispersion of targets with Michael Wilson. I want to ask you about Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch in a second, but like, they wouldn't just say, nope, let's run it back if they didn't have a new plan on how to attack things, especially with not having to balance out a defense that was undermanned like they were last year. Like, talk to me about the offense, where you see them going in 2025.
Yeah, and I think what it comes down to is that communication and that connection with Kyler and Marvin. I mean, it really starts there. And I think I liked how you said it too. You got to disperse the targets. You've got to have Michael Wilson checked a huge box off last year, was healthy for 16 games. Similar output to what he did as a rookie, though. That just can't be the factor. I know that Trey McBride's going to get a lot of those targets. I know Marvin's going to get a lot of the targets, but for him to be a true wide receiver too, it needs to be like 750 and 6 touchdowns, something like in that range, because it's so much more opened up at that point. You're getting Marv the ball a lot more. There's going to be more eyes on other dudes instead of Trey and Marvin. And, hey, let's go load the box because it's Connor. He's going to run. Like, it's just got to be dispersed a little bit more. I think you said that perfectly. And I still think they're going to try to get Marv involved a lot of different ways. They have to. I think they can't just say, he's this guy, let's put him in the corner and just do this. No, he has got to be a guy that's moving around, filling in, getting mismatches when he can, going to the slot, going deep. Like, they've got to utilize him in certain ways, in different ways. And here's the other thing too. I mean, when Kyler Murray jumped on the podcast with me a little bit ago before his celebrity softball game, he spoke about getting better with broken plays. And you know what, some of the best plays that him and Marv had, broken plays. So that chemistry that you just mentioned that they need to get onto is, I think we're going to see that a lot more this next season for sure.
At TDrake4Sports on Twitter, Tyler Drake, Arizona Sports, all over the place over there, joining me here, Locked On Cardinals. So we're going to talk about the offense a little bit more in the next segment, kind of, mesh into the defense and how they can play off each other. I've got some thoughts. I want your thoughts on my thoughts next. I just throw words in whenever I want. Who cares? This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by LinkedIn. As a small business owner, your work doesn't end when the clock hits 5, and your business is always on your mind, which means when it's time to hire, you need a partner that works just as hard as you do. And that's where LinkedIn Jobs comes in. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get qualified candidates all in one place. They've got this new feature called the Post Your Job feature. It can help you write job descriptions and then quickly get your job in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. And here's a pro tip. Add the hashtag hiring frame to your profile picture to double your reach to qualified candidates. No wonder 72% of small businesses say LinkedIn helps them find high-quality hires. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Please go to the YouTube channel, search Locked On Arizona Cardinals, hit that subscribe button, man. Turn notifications on. Going to my 9th damn season doing that. It's crazy, man. I remember my first day my first press box experience, I was sitting next to my, not so smart co-host at the time, Bo Brock. And it was the Washington game with Alex Smith and Adrian Peterson when the Cardinals offense led by Sam Bradford was on the field for 5 minutes in the first half. That's where, 6 years ago, this organization was. People think, 2015, Patrick Peterson gets blown up in the NFC Championship game, but they made it there, guys. They went 13-3. There's no more green ribbon ceremonies. And this is, it's something that's very different right now. And it's going to be led by the offense, even though the defense is so much more improved and could be a top 5 defense. This team goes as Kyler Murray goes. And it hasn't been good enough to get them to where they need to go. Now, for me, Tyler Drake, the run game and the pass game have never been in unison. You run the ball first. If you can run the ball well, then you can pass the ball well. If you can't run the ball well, it's Seattle week 12 coming out of their bye week where they absolutely pooped the bed, and the pick 6 was like the least bad thing that happened that day.
Yeah.
So the ability for the offensive, the run game and the pass game to work off each other lends me to think they need to throw the ball more in 2025 and not the dink and dunk Trey McBride 5-yard pass and catch on first down. More like use him as a decoy and find Greg Dortch in space. Find Michael Wilson in space. Keep opposing defenses guessing more than just checkdowns when you're throwing the ball. Where do you see this pass game fitting with the run game in 2025?
Exactly. Well, I think you still can't get away from. I know you don't want those, but you still can't get away from those little tiny passes because Trey McBride can turn those into huge things. So can James Conner. But they've got to get a little more vertical, and I think that's the big thing. And I think that's why I was a little shocked they didn't get another speedy wide receiver to really just run down the middle of the field, just run down the sideline, just go, just space out. And so maybe that is what they're working on behind the scenes. I mean, here's one thing that really stood out to me the other day. Jonathan Gannon was on with Burns and Gambo, and he mentioned second-year guys. And one of the names was Xavier Weaver. And it was such a it was Tip Ryman. I think it was either Isaiah Adams or somebody else. And then it was Xavier Weaver. And it was just like I was like, whoa, okay. Maybe he's more on that radar than we think. And I think he's got a long climb to go to get there. But they could be looking at him to maybe get him involved more because he's going to bring the speed on this offense. But I just think they got to utilize Zay Jones more. I think there's a way that he could be a bigger part of this offense, especially if, Michael Wilson is doing this consistent, 550 something a year. Get Zay Jones in there and actually have him be an asset because he's done it before. He can be that guy that changed the field a little bit for you, maybe not on a consistent basis, but he can help change the game, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I get it. Zay's been a fringe wide receiver too his entire career. He had flashes with Jacksonville, he had flashes with the Raiders, but I don't know, and I can't comprehend why Greg Dortch isn't utilized more. And this is something where it's okay, he's always the preseason darling, and then he does a lot of things after the always. And in the middle, during the middle of the season, it's hey, they kind of need a guy who could just keep backers honest if you line them up in the slot. And then they run. This made me. I was actually, no joke, on a date at a bar in week 17 when they were playing the Rams. I was in San Diego. I saw the slip screen that he took for chunk gain in the middle of the field. And I'm where was that for the first 4 months of the season? It's it doesn't need to be a lot. He doesn't need to have 80 targets next year. But the fact that they can't utilize him to just keep opposing defenses guessing, where you could just run your mundane, boring offense that works when you're running it right, that's what irks the bleep out of me. They've got the pieces, and they haven't figured out how to use everybody to their ultimate potential, like Nick Rowles and Jonathan Gannon have on the defensive side of the ball. And that's the biggest 0-1 jump. They've got the tools. They didn't draft somebody for a reason. And that's what frustrates me most.
Yeah, exactly. And I think maybe part of it is that they want to keep him fresh for those returns. But even that, you could still throw in a couple
somebody else.
Yeah. Or DJ Dallas. I mean, he's clearly the guy that could be the guy on both sides for both returns. But yeah, you do want to see Greg Dortch get a little bit more, especially when that's who they want in the offense. I mean, clearly that's who they want. They want to run it back pretty much with this whole unit. So yeah, it would be nice to see him get some of more of those. I mean, some of the more of those trick plays. I mean, implement them, get people, like you said, make them honest and make them have an eye on him when you've got all these other dudes that can really take it off the top for you.
Yeah, and I think we're going to completely change what we're going to talk about the rest of the show because I don't want to talk about weaknesses today. So, excuse me. When it comes to Kyler Murray running the ball, okay, we've talked about this over the course of the years that I've had you on the show and in person stuff. Like, for me, and I talked about this last week, like the thing that I struggle with this run game, it's not James Conner, it's not even Trey Benson, it's not the run-of-the-mill stuff. It's Kyler Murray, the play call where he housed it from 50 against the 49ers, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even the Chargers game because that was a broken play. He caught the edge on a backer, okay? Very few, 5, maybe less, quarterbacks in this league can house it from 40, okay? Very few. Even Josh Allen he's a tree trunk. Like, he's not the fastest to run over people, but he won't beat you with blazing speed.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray can do that. So why do you not have? They did it with Josh Dobbs. They had the gotta have it touch. Not it was even the gotta have it against the Giants when he ran over Xavier McKinney. Look this way, he goes that way. It could be set up for 2-3 games. And when you need a touchdown, Kyler's gone. Those plays don't exist in this playbook. You know, we saw that one against the Rams. I think it was busted coverage. The edge. I think it may have even been Nick Bosa didn't set the edge, and Kyler was gone. Okay.
Yep.
Those plays, if you're going to utilize Kyler as a rusher, it can't just be during the gray area plays when things break down, but it's not totally broken down yet. Do you see 2025 as Kyler's career renaissance on the ground, or do you see kind of what we saw last year? Is like, you know what, this is kind of what it's going to be.
I'm trying to think what his best year was. What, 20? It had to be 2019, right? 2019, 2020.
It was either 2020. He had a good year on the ground too.
Yeah. I think we're going to see something similar to last year, but I do think it'll be an uptick just a little bit. I just don't see. They want to do things a little differently than I think a lot of people want, because I think if they could get Kyler the ball 5 more times on the ground or 3 more designed runs on the ground, maybe every other game, space it out that way, I think it'd be great. Like you said, you don't need to have it on every single series. Just pepper it in when you can, and I think it would do a lot. And like you said, the Josh Dobbs example was perfect. I thought like that Kyler could run those better than Josh. So why would you not implement that?
Yeah, I mean, and I think like the sweet spot is, if you could pick like in a vacuum, sweet spot is I just want to keep opposing defenses on their heels so the Cardinals can utilize all of their tools in the tool shed. And their best weapon is the guy who says downset hike. So it's like, okay, use that more. I don't know if it's a speed option and you pull a guard or whatever it is just to keep opposing defense. Be like, oh, that's right. You kind of got to keep this kid in front of you also. And then you've got burners on the outside. You got Marv, you got Trey, everything like that. So it's going to be fascinating to see. And, instead of the weaknesses next segment, we're going to talk about the defense. Expectations you'd find for Walter Nolan and Will Johnson. But my dark horse for Rookie of the Year on defense is a Duck. So we'll discuss that next. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Tyler Drake, Arizona Sports, joining me here. Listen, we do, OTAs continue today. Okay, it's Wednesday. I'm down to 3 shows a week for now. If there's any sort of breaking news for the next month, I'll be doing more. But it's cool seeing people throw passes and catch passes. You guys do a great job covering what you're able to cover with the very, minimal stuff that you're able to do. This is the time for me to really dig into future pacing stuff. Just like everything, it's like when you trust somebody to babysit your kids, it's like they're good. JG's got them. Everything's fine. You watch what you can watch. You'll take the snackable content. You guys do a great job, recording and asking questions and all that stuff the reporters do. And then you kind of be like, you know what? You don't have to really worry about that. It's like, oh, is Cliff giving them fruit bars or are they actually running routes kind of thing? We're far removed from that. So now when you look at this, it's like, okay, this defense, like, this is not Homer stuff. I don't do that. This is not anything close to that. This is a top 3 defense if things work out over the next 3 years. Not all defenses are like this. Not the Steelers, not the Ravens, not anybody. This defense, with how young they are, coupled with the bookends of Budda Baker and Dalvin Tomlinson and Calais Campbell. Like, this ecosystem is cocooned with vets and just it's a bunch of young dudes that are just ready to rip. So Walter Nolan, great. Will Johnson, who I thought they should have taken at 16, they ended up getting at 47. Like, do you think that Walter Nolan and Will Johnson could have found a better spot? Like, obviously there were better, but like, this is pretty damn good for those two guys specifically with the veterans and opportunity they'll have.
Especially, especially for a guy like Walter Nolan, who I think a lot of people, character issues was a thing that everybody talked about. If they are a thing, which from all indications from everybody I've talked to, that is not the case. I mean, Darius Robinson said the other day he bought Dr. Teal's Epsom salt for everybody in the locker room. So that alone is just like, okay, maybe we should pump the brakes on that narrative a little bit. I think, he couldn't have landed in a better spot because you've got this guy like Calais Campbell who could show you the ropes, and not only show you the ropes, but show you the ropes of the state. Like, there's no one better other than Budda Baker that knows this area. Like, that alone, I think, could do wonders for him. And really, he could be the next type of Calais that just is gravitated. People want to see him succeed. Then you look at a guy like Will Johnson. I really think he's going to be a starter this year. I'm just going to say it, especially with Sean Murphy-Bunting being down. All signs point to him being a starter. And I mean, an over-under on starts, I'm going to say like 14. Maybe it's not week 1, but it's going to come. And I really do think he's going to be a game changer if he can stay healthy. And from all indications there's no issues right now.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. You know, one of my favorite things over the last, 2 years specifically is no rookie has been drafted to save a position group. Call it the Marco Wilson effect. Like, no player has been drafted to save it. Like, this is the crazy part. And this kind of put into perspective for me. I was trying to figure out what to do on the show last week, and I'm like, if you take away the entire draft class, this roster is a fringe playoff team.
Yeah.
You take out everybody. You take them all. Like, that's bonk. Like, that's not – with the minimal things they did this offseason, the couple pieces, obviously they were big with Josh Sweat and Dalvin Tomlinson, like – they didn't overhaul the entire defense. They added a couple pieces to get that 0-1 jump off the front. If you get anything from Darius Robinson and BJ Ojulari, like if you get 70% of what you expected the best to be, this is a top 5 defense.
Yeah.
And then you have Robbie, you have Dadrian Taylor-Demerson. We'll see what happens with Jalen Thompson post-June 1. We may be a year removed from having to have that conversation. Like, Rabbit's going to take strong safety snaps this year. Like, he's going to play alongside Budda Baker. And you got Mac Wilson. Like, for me, though, this was a nice transition. I think Jordan Burch can be a dude. He is really large. Okay. He moves way faster than his body type. He's over 270.
Oh yeah, he's a freak. He's like he's a different like freak, but he reminds me of kind of like Owen Papo's college tape of like the dude could do just about everything.
But he has one skill set that other pass rushers the Cardinals don't have. He is an absolute bona fide bull rusher. He's fine. Josh Sweat has been, BJ Ojulari has been, like they've got things that they're exponentially better at doing on a football field than Jordan Burch. Jordan Burch will eat people. Like he's so, and the beauty of the reason why I say that he could be the breakout dude is because Nick Rowlis does such a fantastic job at putting guys in the exact situation to do what they're best at. And if you tell me he has 6 or 7 sacks this year, I wouldn't be shocked. Like he's going to have an interior defensive line that's going to collapse the pocket from the interior. Like this can be the easiest edge rusher role in the last 10 years for a Cardinals pass rusher. So when it comes down to it, it's going to be fascinating. Now, do you think that this could be a top 10 defense? Like out the gate, top 10 defense, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I liked how you said that too about going into the draft. Yeah, this was already a fringe playoff team just by how the roster's built, and now you add these pieces where especially the Will Johnson, Sean Murphy-Bunting update. That's such a it was already the biggest steal. It might be the biggest move that they could have made. Like it just is. They literally won the lottery if he can stay healthy right there. Sorry, what was the question again?
I don't know. That was close enough. That was it. No, do you see them being a top 10 defense?
Oh, yeah. No, I really do. And I think it just comes down to health. And it's really, I think a lot of people are going to look at the cornerbacks room and say, hey, is there enough experience in that room? I think people need to give Garrett Williams a little more credit. I think he's at the point where he's this veteran leader in that room. Maybe it's a quiet veteran leader. Maybe it's not the rah-rah guy that we're normally used to seeing, but I think he's spearheading that room. You got these young guys to fill out the outside. I really like where this cornerbacks room is, even with Sean Murphy-Bunting down. I said it last week on the podcast. I actually do a magazine with Lindy's. I do the Cardinals section there, and my starting projections did not have Sean Murphy-Bunting in there. So I was already leaning towards this young cornerbacks room taking the bull by the horns and really going after it in 2025.
Dig it. I mean, because you look at the cornerback room last year and just the DBs in general with zero semblance of a pass rush from the interior to the outside.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be huge. It's going to be such a difference there, man. Like the pass rush is going to help this cornerbacks room so much this year.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Tell them where they can find you, dude.
All right. Yep. Everywhere. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on all the social medias at TDrake for Sports, ArizonaSports.com, and on the radio and YouTube for Cardinals Corner. Yeah, just about everywhere you can find me.
Love it. Thanks, dude. Alex Clancy, Locked on Cardinals. Remember, without you, there is no me. I'll talk to you Friday.